Call this meeting to order. First thing is review and approve June 27th, 2023 minutes.
I've read the minutes, and I move that they be accepted as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Hit the wrong button.
It's a hot tub, what can you? Yeah, I understand.
Review and approve July 11th, 2023 warrant.
I move that the warrant be accepted as written. Presented.
Second.
All in favor? Calista Cross?
Yeah.
You volunteer for honor flight, I understand, right?
I am,
Okay,
and I
good.
actually brought a flyer to leave with you guys if you want, the veterans around here.
Yeah.
Look at this, and, it's a great trip for them to take for free. And so I've been with them for a little over 2 years now as volunteer, and it just was so lovely to see them come in and get ready to get on the plane to go to Washington D.C. to be able to see all the monuments for free. And it's a great organization, and I'm proud to be a part of it, and
Yeah.
proud to do things for our veterans, because they really mean a lot to me. And so that's one reason why I'm here. But another reason is, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'll try to get through this, because I could talk all night about it. You know, it's like this has been going on since March. And so I put in a bill in Troy Jackson. I'm sure you've heard Troy Jackson. He put the bill in for me. He and his staff and I worked together. And it was to name a bridge in Cornish. And it was to be for the Veterans Memorial Bridge. And so, and I'm still sticking with that. And then when I first started this out, like a year and a half ago, I talked with the senator from Cornish at that time, and let me see who else I talked with, oh, the DOT, to find out what I needed to do to proceed with this. And they told me that, I need to put the bill in, that, and I said, and the bridges, and you guys probably know this, that the bridges are owned by the state anyway. And so I said, well, what about the town? Do I need to do something with the town, to go through the town? But I was told no, that because the bridge is owned by the state. So I proceeded, and the bill didn't get in until this year. And so, and then when the bill went through to the Transportation Committee, and I was emailing Ben Chipman. I don't know if you know Ben Chipman. He's the chairperson of the Transportation Committee, and they are the legislature, and they're the ones that decide on all of this, whoever puts the bill in. And so I didn't know at the time until like maybe a week before the public hearing. I didn't have a chance to let people in Cornish or anybody highly know that they could write in if they wanted to see this bridge named, because I was told nobody had to be involved in it until like the last minute, you know, and so I really couldn't get the word out quick enough, but there were people that did contact the Transportation Committee, and there was one that spoke Zoom, and I spoke Zoom. Anybody could have gone to Augusta to speak in person, but anyway, over all that, they had to end up going to the town of Cornish, well, actually to the select people. And nothing against the select people, but they kind of dragged their feet on this, and all they needed, and I got some notes here from Ben Chipman, all they needed was, from the select people, was the approval letter that they approved of having that bridge name, okay? Because the Transportation Committee was all for it, you know, they were all ready for it. And so they didn't hear anything from the select people, so it went on and on. So they couldn't do anything with the bill, approve it one way or the other, because they had to hear from the select people. So they encouraged me, as well as Troy Jackson, who put the bill in for me, to go talk with the select people. So I did, and they were kind of objected, the Veterans Memorial Bridge, and they did say why. And so I went to another meeting, and so by then they said, well, we want the town to be involved and have a say in this. And I was all okay with that, but it just was so dragged out, you know, that we could have had this all done back in April, but it's been dragged on. And so where it stands now is, finally we come to this point that I'm to get 79 signatures from registered voters in Cornish. And I've been out working, and I've got, I think 63, and I just started this like last Thursday, I think. And so, and people want it. And I have talked to people from Baldwin and Hiram and Parsons Field, because I was standing at the store getting signatures and talking to people. Everybody wanted to sign this, just like that. And they couldn't see that there should be any problem at all. So, because I had a couple of people ask me about Baldwin, because I know that the bridge there is close to Baldwin. I don't know if some of it is Baldwin or not. And that's why I wanted to come and speak with you people in person, because once I get these 79 signatures, it goes back to the select people, and they'll have a town meeting in Cornish, August 26th, and they'll have people come and vote, yes or no, do they want the bridge named the Veterans Memorial Bridge. And so, we because of some other people that spoke to me, they felt that maybe Baldwin will come up, and they'll say, well, why don't we involve Baldwin? So I wanted to know, that's why I'm here partially, is to see how you gentlemen and your town would feel about this. If Cornish doesn't want it, then I can put in a new bill, already talked to the senators, and it doesn't have to go through the town anyway, just like Ben Chipman told me all they needed was the selectmen's approval.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'll just do it. The DOT will put the sign and post up. There'll be a green post with Veterans Memorial Bridge on each side of the bridge, and they'll take care of all that. And they take care of the bridges, and they'll take care of all the signs. So this is what I would like to say to you gentlemen, that if Cornish doesn't want this, if it doesn't pass, if it's something you'd be interested in, that we could get Baldwin to put the sign up. Doesn't matter who gets it to put up, once it gets up for veterans. And then I don't know again if somebody may contact you guys about, when this meeting comes up, somebody may contact you guys, but I wanted to tell you up front, and I put the truth here, and I don't want any trouble with anybody, you know, this is for veterans, for crying out loud. What is wrong with you guys? This is what I told them. I told the selectmen that too. I mean, why didn't you just approve of it? The town, I'm sure, would go along with it.
Really?
And now that you've opened up that door for them to come and object or not redact, you know, it's just gonna be another battle to go through, and you could have done it yourself, and they would have approved, I'm sure, you know,
Yeah.
so,
You have a question, Joe?
yeah.
Yeah, I do. What bridge are we talking about?
This is the one between following Cornish?
Yeah.
Okay, Route
The
5.
long one there,
Okay.
it's just beautiful.
So it is on both in Baldwin and in Cornish.
Right, yeah.
That's just what, I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Half of it.
Sometimes, you know, nailing down what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I had that same question, so.
And see, and I didn't really know that part of it. I
Yeah.
just let the DOT and Transportation Committee, they're the ones that approved it. And they
Yeah.
didn't say anything about Baldwin in there, you know, they own part of it, you know, so, I mean, I don't think they're leaving you out on purpose, you know, what I mean, but.
Hurts my feelings, they didn't think of us.
I know.
I'm sorry to tell you about that, you know, but yeah, so I think it's a really good thing for our veterans, and it's very little for, you know, for what they've done for us.
Yeah.
And I keep standing up for them, and, you know, I went through how, when we did a veterans monument in Cornish, and we had a committee and everything then, and so it took 4 years that we was trying to make an agreement on where to put this monument, and they wanted to take our grant money and put it in Thompson Park, and, you know, went through so much, and so I said, we're not gonna go through this again this time, I'm not gonna do that. I'm too old for this, but I am gonna fight I am gonna battle for our veterans, I'm telling you, I don't care if the selectmen like me or not, and I've already pointed it up front. I mean, I love these guys, but hey, you gotta do better than this, you know?
Well, I certainly don't have a problem with it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, me either. I mean, the only thing in the back of my head is, I mean, I know Mr. Chivens said it could be approved by the selectmen, but I'm not so sure that it could just yet, you know?
And I have a note here from him, if you'd like to read it.
Yeah. Does anybody really own the bridge? We own on this side of the
I
river,
don't know.
Cornish owns on that side of the
I
river.
don't know that part.
The state.
Yeah, state numbered highway.
You're right,
It lands on state property,
Yeah.
state road.
yeah.
It's, this town doesn't own the bridge or the land that it connects to. But I don't know if that's material or not, you know, it's.
Baldwin till the middle of the river.
Right, yeah, yeah,
It's assumed,
yeah.
It is,
Yeah, it is, it's how they divide it.
the thread of the river is what they say.
okay.
So can't Cornish and Baldwin shake hands and say, yeah, let's do this, huh? No.
I mean, I really don't think.
It's not named now, right? There's no name to it
No,
that I know of.
no.
Just Cornish,
Corner Station.
State Cornish
Cornish
Station
Bridge,
Bridge, or whatever
yeah.
they called it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're gonna be doing over there, you guys probably know this, that they're gonna try to get, a trail through there on where the tracks are. it's the Mountain Division Trail. They're working on this to put, so there'd be a trail through there coming through Portland,
Yeah,
Baldwin, Hiram, Cornish, and go all the way up Freiburg.
I
So-
think that's been scrapped though.
Oh, you think
I
so?
think- Yeah,
It's
I
on
think-
hold because of the finances.
yeah.
Oh,
It's on hold
okay,
for now. One of our previous selectmen was involved in that. and so-
okay,
Yeah, so-
okay, sorry, I don't mean to distract you from everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what Ben said, and I got it twice here, because, and I love Larry Mounts, and you guys probably knew Larry Mounts, and he was a wonderful veteran, and I went to his services, and I know his family well, we're all friends, we used to go hiking and camping together, and I'm so sorry about him, and I was hoping this would get done for him, for Leona Chassie, another World War II lady in Cornish who just passed away, she was 99, I was hoping all this would get done, and I hope that it gets done for all the rest of the veterans who are still here, so they can know this before they pass away, but everybody else will know after they pass away that it's done for them.
Well, here's my take on it, was, I don't know Cornish's reason for not wanting it. But I would say they have not forced the name on Baldwin, okay?
Mhm.
And so before we'd agree, I'd like to talk with the selectmen and Cornish and see, you know, if you're putting it on the selectmen, then the selectmen want to know what it is that they object to, because I would hate to say that they have no reason,
Well, one of the selectmen said, why do you wanna take away from history? I said, but he couldn't tell me what the name of the bridge was though. They didn't know what the name of the bridge, it's Station Bridge, what it's called right now, nobody knew that till I opened that door. So I said, well, if it was still the covered bridge that was there, that would be different, but the covered bridge is gone. The next bridge was the Hemlock Bridge, and from what I have learned, it's down in Steep Falls Dam somewhere, cause it went washed out.
Washed out, yeah.
And then DOT put the cement bridge in, and then it was named Station Bridge. So, but nobody knew that until I opened that door, so everybody had a learning experience and all it. But so, this no one will ever forget, the Veterans Memorial Bridge, that will never be forgotten. And it will be up there where people go to Baldwin can see it, and when they come back from Baldwin to Cornish, they can see it. It'd be lovely, you know?
Yeah.
And that's my opinion, but I know, but that was one of the selectmen's ideas. And then they just decided they want the town to be involved in it and have a chance to say something. But I made it very clear, the bill that was put in is for the Veterans Memorial Bridge. So when we have this meeting, that you wanna make sure when you put an ad in the paper, that people know that this is for the Veterans Memorial Bridge. We're not gonna name it something else, or fight over what else it's gonna be named.
Yeah.
You know, and there are 3 other bridges, and I did say, cause at one point, I was gonna name all the bridges, and I had names in for it, cause it wasn't gonna be going through the town. And I thought 9/11 Memorial Bridge on Main Street in Cornish, and then over where I live on Route 5, the Harriet Tubman Memorial Bridge. So this would be history for our kids and for people to know later in life, you know, and then, of course, the Veterans Memorial Bridge was my main one. But then the Cornish Historical Society got involved in it, because the town selectmen wanted them to have a say about it, and somebody spoke up and said, let them see what they want, because we don't want these other names, maybe they'll think of a Cornish historic name. And so I went to the meeting like the selectmen asked me to Cornish Historical Society. They didn't want the Veterans Memorial Bridge, they named something else, and I got it written down home somewhere. But I said to them, there's 3 other bridges, because we're only gonna go for the Veterans Memorial Bridge, not the other ones, because you guys don't like it. And if you want to name the other 3 bridges something else, go ahead and do it, and I'll even help you. I told them I'd help them, put in a bill or whatever. And so, I don't know how they feel about it now, but that's the way it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so then the selectmen decided that, first they wanted to put a big committee together. They're making it hard for me. they wanted to have a committee of 9 people and have them come together and talk about, this bridge and bridges, what to name the bridge besides the Veterans Memorial Bridge. And I had put my foot down again. I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. You need to be honest with people. If they're coming and we're gonna have a committee, and I'll go along with that with you, but you make sure that they know we're gonna come and talk about the Veterans Memorial Bridge, because that's what I put the bill in for. And so, then, they said, well, you can do this. You can get 79 signatures and bring them back to us, and then, they have to be registered voters from Cornish, so that's what I've been doing. And I said, why didn't we do that 2 months ago? This probably would have been all done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they have the town meeting, and they'll probably put an ad in the Shopper's Guide for August 26th at 6:30, so it'll be voted on. And I did write to the selectmen again, right on top of this, because I want them not to have people come and start fighting over this, you know? This is for our veterans, it's the Veterans Memorial Bridge. If they want to name the other something else, go ahead, put a bill in and do it. But this is what we're supposed to be here for, is the Veterans Memorial Bridge. So I wanted you to know all of this, you know, so. Because I'm a very honest person and I care about our veterans, and you can ask all these people that have written down all this paper that I've got, this petition that I've got. I was out 90-degree heat getting these names. Say, why are you out here? I said, well, our veterans are out in war doing stuff that they didn't wanna do, and I'm gonna be out doing it for them, you know, so, hey, what can I say? So,
Like the enthusiasm, for sure.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of family that's been in the military too, and we have one person, and his name isn't even on the list at Thompson Park, and I asked why. And this was back in the 50s, and he was a POW for 3 years in the Korean War, and he came back alive. But, the town did, at that time, give him a big shindig, you know, parade and everything, which is wonderful. But his name is not on that list, and I brought it up to the selectmen recently, and I said, we should add his name and other soldiers' names that you haven't updated in the park with all the names, so don't leave anybody out, you know, so that's kind of how I am. I fight for our veterans because they fought for us.
That's right.
So you think if this doesn't pass with Cornish, you think if I come back, and is Jim Libby your senator?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't talked to him about all of this yet, because I put it on hold, seeing what the meeting would be like at the Cornish, because I don't wanna flub that up if people do vote it in. But I still wanted you guys to have an input on it, because if it is partly Cornish and partly Baldwin, I want it to be fair, you know, and I didn't know any of that until just recently. So I would like to, if they do not pass it, and if you would like me to come here and, get Jim Libby, Troy Jackson has already written to me, his office, and said, that I think you ought to get Jim Libby involved if you put a new bill in, and I think that is a good idea. And I think Democrats and Republicans, no matter who they are, we all need to get along and work together. That's how I feel about it. you know. So, if that is something you would like me to do, I would do that, if this doesn't pass with Cornish.
Yeah, I mean, I'd consider it, yeah.
Okay,
I would like it to see it pursued, yeah.
okay. And you, sir? Are you for it,
Well, I've already expressed my opinion, which is that Cornish doesn't seem to want it. Why would we vote to force them onto them?
Well, I got 63 people that voted they want it.
Yeah,
And
Well,
I mean,
that's
there's
my
just a
opinion.
few in every crowd, you know?
yeah.
I don't understand why this,
I wonder if it's just a matter of,
it's a name.
yeah, I know, but it's not necessarily that, but I mean, I just don't know if 3 people can make that decision alone. I don't know, I'm not,
Right, yeah.
you know, would it take a town
Yeah, and I think.
collaboration? know?
Both towns should collaborate.
Yeah,
Well, according to Ben Chipman, and I got 2 letters where he said all he needed was,
well, that's good, but that's really generic. All that says is, in order for him to carry on, all he needs is that letter from the selectmen. Well, in order for them selectmen to manifest that letter, there's all kinds of public town stuff they have to go through in order to get it. You see what I'm saying? I just don't know as they can make that decision on their own. I'm for it,
yeah, yeah.
but
Right, I mean,
obviously there's channels.
Yeah, but we,
I can see you getting,
you can read that one there.
getting the public involved.
And I don't mind if they get involved, you know, but
I think majority of the people will be, will approve it.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
So see, that's what
Yeah.
he's saying, that you
Yeah.
just need to
Yeah,
approve it from the selectmen.
but it's gonna take a little bit of research, so
Yeah,
we know that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I like to take people on their face value, but you could get in trouble with one guy's statement too,
That's right.
you know?
I know, I get in trouble all the time, you better check me out, I'm telling you. So anyway, I won't take up any more of your
I'll give you an
time.
example of a naming fiasco. I lived in Alabama, well, I was in the military, I'm a veteran.
Oh,
And,
thank you for your service.
the air base that I worked at was on a generically named road. People woke up one morning to see the name changed to Congressman Dickinson Road.
Probably a lot of people didn't like them.
And all of a sudden, people goes, who said that? You know, now my address has changed, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, everything that, you know, who, why that, why not somebody else? And it was a decision made by one person.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And whether it was the right note thing or not, Congressman Dickinson was a good beneficiary for the state of Alabama. Well, federal dollars came in there, but not everybody saw it the same way. And, that's what I'm saying is, you know, these things seem very simple and innocuous, but they can become very emotional.
They can, and in fact, the select people, it took me a while to get it in their heads, and I'm sorry, I don't need to talk badly about them, but because somebody had to start it, and I started it, and I started the monument with, Veterans Monument. Somebody has to start it, so I started it, and they're saying it's one person that's doing the job, and they don't like that. And I said, well, you gotta go online, because there's people that voted in, as quickly as I could, I emailed some people to see if they would vote on this, to the Transportation Committee, and they did. And one person was on Zoom, and I was on Zoom, and so I said, it's all for the public to read. So I said, now, it isn't just me, I'm trying to tell you, as many people as I could get in contact with, which was a short period of time, some people did vote in that wanted to do this, so I wanted them to know, it's not just me. But again, everything we do, somebody has to start it, you know?
Yeah.
Has to begin somewhere,
Yeah.
and I can't help it if I think of these ideas, you know? I'm
So is
trying.
there a timeline? I mean, you said a lot, and I thought there was like a timeline that you said where the bill would expire or no? So, I mean,
Yeah, the bill, yeah, and that was the other thing, you know, and the first thing that I didn't know, I should have contacted the town to begin with, but they told me DOT and the reps we had in Const at that time, and they probably didn't do it deliberately, they just didn't know that I should have gone to the town first. But I was told that the town didn't have to get involved because the bridges are state-owned. So it went a whole year or so, and I didn't find out till Troy put the bill in, and like a week or two before the Transportation Committee had the public hearing, I find out, we gotta let people know. You know, so some people, I email them, I said, oh my gosh, I've only got this little bit of time, you know. So there was a few people that wrote in, and there probably would have been more if there had been more time, you know. But I didn't know that the town was gonna be involved in it, so. But according to Ben, we didn't need to have the town involved in it. But one of the men on the Transportation Committee wanted to know what the select people thought. And so when they wrote to the select people, they objected. That's how it all went.
I feel on the surface it should be pursued, wherever it leads us, for
Yeah.
sure. If it can't be done, then, you know, I guess you'll hate us like you do Cornish, but.
I think I'll move to Baldwin. Well, I have, I don't know if you know George Anderson,
Of course.
he's my cousin.
Oh, really, yeah.
Yeah, and Lillian, his, sister Lillian, she's my cousin, and because they've lived in Baldwin for years.
Yeah.
And Gerald Anderson, another
Yeah.
cousin, and their mother was my aunt, Phila Anderson, and their brother, Philip Anderson, was the one that was a POW for 3 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so, yeah, so there's a lot of history over here in Baldwin, and that was another reason why I said, there's so many veterans over here, you should go over and talk with the select people, so. So, and if anybody wants to come to that meeting when they have it in Cornish, please come, get the veterans to come, anybody spread the word around, and
Do you know what that is, August twenty-sixth,
it's August 26th at 6:30.
August 26th, 2/6?
Yeah, 26th, yeah.
That's my anniversary, I don't know if I'll be able to.
And if they don't put an ad in the paper, I'm going to, because all the people that's been signing the signatures, they want to know. I mean, I don't know how many will end up going, but the more that goes and votes it in, the better off we'll be. So, maybe I'll see you guys there. So, I guess that's all I need to say to you, so you can get busy with something else.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
And thank you for having me, guys, you know, I appreciate that, and we'll probably see each other here in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hope I didn't bore you to death.
See you then.
See ya. Thanks.
All right. Don Kent, discussion of the person of the lease of town farm property, Florida's map 5/14Z. What you got?
Well, I had the gentleman next to me make a proposal for some land which he is purchasing for sale
Yeah.
across the street. And he's applied for a conditional use permit, which has to happen through the planning board.
Yeah.
But I felt the town should be involved where they can do a lot more if they have access to some of the town property that's behind them. But perhaps the best thing would be to let you say what you propose to do.
So, we just put on the contract on the land across the street,
Yeah,
and we're proposing to put in a disc golf course.
that's cool.
Yeah, so, between all the areas, there's nothing out here recreational or outside.
Right.
And it's in the school system, and we're gonna add a little pickleball court there too.
Yeah.
So,
So you're gonna have a restaurant too?
in a restaurant, yeah, we're gonna do like a tapa restaurant, that's more, in all main beers, right, support the local breweries.
Okay.
So we're looking to do that, and we're in the process, we're gonna open up the border of that property with a forestry mulcher to create a walk, bike, pedal bike, trail system open to the public. And, have it 4 seasons, so you can ski and snowshoe.
Mhm.
So in doing that, we'd be able to put in a couple of disc golf courses over there, have a little pro shop, and eventually down the road, have a restaurant. But then, in doing the research here, we noticed that the back lot was still owned by the town. And I mentioned that to Don, and he said, well, let's research that. And, I was more in the sense of if we could use it, lease it for some more disc golf baskets, we would be willing to extend the trail system with a forestry mulcher. I have a tree service company, we have forestry mulchers and so. So that we would extend it from a 2-mile track to a 4-mile track. So it just cuts a perimeter border, and then have a trail coming through the center of it. So that would be open to the public, for the 4 seasons, and then we'd be able to put another disc golf course on it. So that was our initial conversation, followed up with, well, maybe we'd like to sell it, if it's landlocked and the right of way is not available anymore, would you be interested in making a purchase? And I said, well, it's always better to use for free than it is to buy, you know, and, he said, well, we may be interested in selling it to you, is that something you're interested in? Ron, my office manager, and I discussed it. We would entertain an offer to purchase that. and to extend the disc golf course. More like land stewardship than, development, we don't want to develop it.
Yeah.
I like Pineland Farms.
Oh, yeah.
Loves.
Yeah.
Right, we're not gonna have any animals, we're not gonna make any cheese, but, we would have the pub, the pro shop, a much larger pro shop with the dispatch and so on and so forth, but, yeah, it's other, I
So,
mean,
is the pro shop, you're saying it's for the disc golf?
That's right.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah, so you.
I was
would-
thinking like regular golf or something like that.
No, it's, I don't know if you're familiar with this
Yeah,
golf,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but, so we would have a pro shop for the disc golf sale of the discs, baskets, gear, clothing, footwear, and then on the right side, we'd have more like a convenience store, you could sell some beer, drinks, snacks, to go out on the course with.
No. I know that disc golf is getting pretty big, and it's pretty, I know.
It's growing by 40%
Yeah.
a year. They said there's more disc golf courses now than there's Dunkin' Donuts. 92 disc golf courses.
Come on.
8,800 Dunkin' Donuts in the United States. Yeah, and, yeah, so that's kind of our proposal. We did go under contract here. We go to the planning board on Thursday, pitch our idea of what we'd like to do, basically, I told you. And then, close it in 2 months or less, and try to get it open for next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I know a couple of fellows that do the disc golf, and they take it pretty seriously, too.
Yeah, I, honestly, I just started, a year and a half ago. And my employees are like, oh, we're gonna go play disc golf, you should come play, right? For years, I'm like, no, that's a kid's game, right? So they said, hey, listen, let's go out and just show you how to play, a year ago. And I played, and I said, all right, this is all right, and then I played again, and I'm like, oh man, I'm getting good at this, You make a couple 100-foot putts in there, and I'm like, I'm doing this. So, my facility's down in Westbrook, so after a year of playing this last spring or so, I put in a 9-hole course at the shop for the guys to play at.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we put in a course down there, and I probably play 3-4 times a week. I'm not any good, but I like the exercise.
Yeah.
And
I played it once, it was up to, years ago, it was up to, Beaverbrook Campground, North Monmouth.
Yeah, in Monmouth, yeah, that's right.
It was pretty fun up there.
Yeah, so it's contagious.
Yeah.
So now I got my friends to play, and I'm looking to downsize my tree service company, and I have a roll-off dumpster company, and I'm looking to downsize that, and have a retirement job.
Oh.
And this would be a pretty good retirement job.
Yeah.
So I may look younger, but I'm old. So, yeah, so I'm looking to downsize and get into something a little bit easier, That's kind of the pitch.
Well, it's something worth considering anyway, and we couldn't have an answer for you right now.
Oh, no, it's not, I wasn't looking for it.
Yeah.
No, it's
That's it.
figure out what that
Look into
parcel
it.
is,
I just wanna let you know that the state has a database that identifies that as a PFAS contaminated location. And it's something to do with the dumping of sewage,
Right, sludge.
sludge,
Yep. Yeah, we're not gonna eat it.
Yeah, Joe.
15, 20 years ago, I was working with Kurt Olofsson about our land maps and what the town owned and so forth.
Yep.
And he told me at that time that it's illegal for the town to sell a town farm.
Oh.
So there are laws pertaining to Old Town farms, and that's one.
That was my initial concern, but don't know until we look further into it, I suppose.
Yeah.
If it's PFAS, you can't farm anything.
No, not a good idea.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
So how many acres are we talking about?
The town is about 100 acres.
Yeah, it's like 135 acres.
Something like that, and you've got 51 under contract.
60.
60.
So what you have under contract is a portion of, what was a solar farm, or is it?
The left side is the solar farm, allegedly.
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, right, because there's no permits to hold.
Right.
And I talked with a broker yesterday, and they may, because there's no, traction on that progress, they may end up canceling that lease. So, not really sure,
Yeah.
that's just what he told me.
I wasn't looking for an answer when I sent the letter.
Right.
I just wanted to keep the select board informed in terms of what was coming across my desk.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay. Anything else?
Where would we go from there?
Mostly up to the plan board as far as, but, I'm not sure, we'd have to look into it. As far as the town property, we'd have to.
Well, I'll look and see, I'll talk to, Kurt, see what he has to say. He might be right, he might be just off the table.
Yeah.
So it would be best to just look at that first. I've got a note here to check on it and see.
So you can't sell old farm stand? That was-
Town farm.
Town farm, yeah, we used to call it poor farm, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes, for the
Yes.
poor, yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Well, yeah, you know, it came about because so many selectmen, they're always looking for money, right?
Right.
Well, here's some money.
Right.
Yeah. And so many towns are just getting rid of the old poor farm and didn't have any town land left.
Right, yeah.
And then what do you do?
The thing in this case, the town really hasn't used it too much since they cut the wood to build the 3 fire stations. I found out from Steve.
5 years ago.
That was a far piece of it.
75 years ago.
And it seemed to me, perhaps they can't sell it, but if they were to lease it, the townspeople would get some serious use out of it because of the trail system that they're proposing to put in,
Correct.
as opposed to land just sitting there, which doesn't serve a purpose for people in town recreation-wise.
And if it has a PFAS, you can't farm it, so then what are you gonna do with it?
There aren't a lot of things that families can do that.
I think there was a company that offered a solar farm over it.
Right, yeah.
We're logging periodically for funds for the town.
Right.
Not to chew on the
Yeah,
bottom.
But you'd have to get a right of way in there, right?
No, there's a right of way in there.
There's still a right of way in there?
Yep.
So your suggestion, permanent lease, if obviously they can't be sold, correct?
I mean, we don't have to do it permanently, so I'm 50, you know, I'm gonna be dead.
Well, you're still young.
20 years, you know what I mean, come on, we don't have to do it permanently, but yeah, I mean, we could do a 10-year lease, you know, and then we would open it up, to the public on the trail system, right? And then tie all the trail system in where people could, either park in our parking lot that we create, or they could park at the cemetery or public road, or this back, community parking lot, you know?
We're in the planning, we're gonna be, about having a trail system out here.
Correct, I kind of saw a little trailhead out there on the public way.
Yeah.
Right, going out to the cemetery.
Right.
So that would work out pretty good if someone wanted to do some biking, you know, 113 is not a friendly place to walk or hike.
Right.
Or bike, right? So, but you could open up that trail system, it's about 1.5 miles or so if you go around the property that we're looking to acquire. If you look at your back lot, and you cut just a perimeter line and had a cut through just in case you needed to get to the back lot, they could open it up to almost 4 acres. 4 miles.
4 miles.
Usable public space.
Yeah.
Right? And then we put trash cans out, we put dog bags out, make it dog friendly.
Yeah. Oh.
And then we would maintain that, as a portion of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So a lot of disc golf and, this recreation that we're doing is about like tree service, is giving back, using, land stewardship, and being able to open it to the public, right? So the disc golf course, obviously, we're charging a little bit of money for that, but, you know, being able to open up a trail system, make it usable. You have a lot of campgrounds, and you can pull a lot from the lake regions, as well as, you know, from 30 minutes from Portland to 30 minutes to Freiburg. I mean, this is a great spot.
Yeah.
We don't really have anything in Baldwin that offers the campers and RV campers on the street.
Yeah.
Where they would have a recreational area there that's off off-road recreation areas, if they're not dealing with ATVs and dirt bikes, if this would be a box pedal bike trail system. And then they could use it in the wintertime for snowshoeing, cross-country skiing.
Yeah.
And we could have that groomed by a local snowmobile club, run the groomer on it. And if we were to use the back lot, we don't need all the land, right? You know, we just need some land, right, as we grow in it and disc golf. But we could have that open to the public and they would have plenty of access to it.
I might say what occurs to me here is that, if the trails were developed on the town poor farm, and that's all you wanted to do, was have trails on the poor farm, we don't need a change of ownership, we don't need a lease, it's just a working agreement to have trails, and, you know, thank you for building them.
Yeah.
I'm all for trails,
Yeah.
and I'm also all for the town owning some land. I always get worried about the town selling land, you know. When I open the paper and I see a story about the town of Cumberland buying, you know, playing fields for $200,000 or $300,000.
When you should already have it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's what we propose, to open it up, have some land stewardship there. As we grow into disc golf, and we need to create some longer basket holes, that we could use some of that land to do that.
So the impact on the land would be minimal, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty minimal, to make your
Cutting a lot of
fairways
trees
and everything.
down, or.
Yeah. Most of this lot, that we're looking at has already been logged, and there's not much, many trees on it whatsoever.
Right.
We're only paying for the land because there is no tree value on it. Mature trees, even if you, aren't looking to harvest, at least they're reseeding and have a lot of value to the land. And they strip every tree off this thing. So we will be able to use the tote roads and so on and so forth to create, the fairways, if you will. But, you know, in that back lot, you know, you're gonna cut or use small areas, maybe 50 by 300 feet.
Mhm.
And you want the trees there as obstacles to the disc golf course,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So you don't want them. You want, if you had the best land, you would want mature trees and create a park. And then you would have fairways that you would throw through the trees and.
Make it challenging,
Correct, yeah. So that is, that's what our proposal is, and that's what we'd like to do. We don't really need to buy it.
Okay.
If we could use it and open it up to the public as far as the trail system is concerned, and maintain that.
Yeah.
For the use of, you know, I don't know how many acres we would need. We haven't even got that far yet. You know,
Kind of like a
and
general
then we
proposal,
get-
bring it before you guys, just
Right.
kind of let you know what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked to the planning board on, Thursday, give them the same spiel to get our conditional permit rolling.
Yeah.
You know, and we're already under contract, so, you know, if they think it's a good idea, as we do, it will close, and then we'll work on getting the permit and getting it established.
Yeah.
Could I ask the name of your company?
Yeah. My personal company, Rest.
Well, I'm chairman of the planning board, and I want to put you on the agenda. What's the name I put on the
Yeah,
agenda?
yeah, Tom White is fine. Yeah.
Tom
White.
White.
Yeah.
I gave you the, some of that together.
WHHD.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Good.
It's the one I spoke to about on the phone that I signed the paper, when I called you, this is one.
Yes, you did, you called me.
Yeah.
I knew that, but I didn't get
When I
the,
schedule two people.
when I write out an agenda, I gotta say, the guy who wants to put something or other across the street,
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Gotcha.
And I just spoke to Don about doing something with the land.
So,
Yeah.
Tom White from TW Enterprises.
TW?
Yeah,
Enterprise.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Perfect.
Look forward to seeing you Thursday night.
Maybe I'll do a little bit better presentation. I'll bring
No, you're doing fine.
I'll bring my golf disc, my basket in here, we can try it, show you guys what it is, and after 5 minutes, you'll be like, damn, this is cool.
it does seem to be a good idea to have the townspeople be able to use the land, which is pretty hard to do now.
Right,
And it wouldn't cost the town anything to develop it. And if it's for 10 or 20 years renewable or however you want it to.
Right.
Yeah, I'm 50, I'm trying to get to 60. 10-year lease is fine, you know, honestly, 10-year lease is fine. Yeah, if we could use some space over there, that would be great, we're willing to do a lot of work to get that and make it usable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's the point, is everybody has a chance to use the resources that we provide to have. That's it.
There are some wetlands out there too, and their proposal would work that in pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we would to work around those.
Yeah.
Those are water traps.
Well, actually, yeah, that is part of this golf, is you gotta throw across the wetlands, you know? Yeah. We built some bridges for sure.
Dogs and deer or something like that.
Yeah. I walked through there, I get more ticks, I just parked there to turn around, and I had 2 ticks on me already.
Yeah.
The place was loaded with ticks.
Yeah.
Loaded. I had 10, when I first looked at that property, I had 10 ticks on me.
Oh.
So we do tick and mosquito mitigation, right? Tick and mosquito spray. Forestry mulching does a lot with tick mitigation. Right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then wood chips. So ticks don't like wood chips. That's why if you have a tick infested area, you use wood chips, because the ticks have to crawl around the chips. And the chips begin to dry out. And when they dry out, that dries out the tick.
Huh.
Ticks have to be in 3 feet of grass and not in the fields, because they'll dehydrate. That's why they're in the shadows of 3 feet of grass. That's where the dew is.
Yeah.
On the underside. So, when we do wood chips, trails, that mitigates it. When we do forestry mulching, we actually mow over the understory brush and till it back in the soil a couple inches. That too is tick mitigation. So, not only are we gonna do that to the back lot to make it usable, we also license the spray for tick and mosquitoes. So we're gonna spray the courses and the trails with mosquitoes.
Yeah.
It's a great benefit for the people that have dogs and walking their dogs.
Yeah.
Not worried about the ticks. Lyme disease is a very serious thing. So we're gonna do it on our course. We have the equipment. You know, again, I'm trying to downsize my tree company, do less with that, do more with this, and, we already own the assets to do it. It costs, $1.50 per gallon.
Really?
Yeah, and you can do
No.
4 gallons, will do an acre.
Really?
So when you start, you know, my cost, right? So when you start to look at what the cost is to treat your facility, it's not a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And so, being able to have an environment that you feel safe and walk through and bring your dogs through, and you're not picking off 10, 15 ticks, it's worth something. I don't take up any more time, we're gonna be at the planning board on Thursday, so the idea is to follow back up with land use, or what do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Find out where we go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, take to the planning board first and
Yeah.
get
yeah.
there.
Take it to the planning board, get our, pre-approvals,
Yeah.
and then after that, come back around to here again.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, we'll probably discuss this further and see what,
It may involve working with both
right,
boards at the same time.
yeah. Maybe see if we all agree on something.
You know what we should do? We should come up tomorrow and put a couple of discs out there, in a couple of baskets. Don't say anything. Right? And then I'll see Don out there at lunchtime on Friday. How do you do that? All right, guys. Listen, I really appreciate your time. I don't think you need me for anything else.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. And I'll see you on Thursday.
Very good.
Thanks for talking. Well, that's all right.
See you Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you.
And get rid of the ticks on it and put it in my house.
Really? Wait a minute, we got some land on that way. All right. Next thing, Fire Chief Steve Sanders, state surplus document and 100-day report.
100 years, my God.
Yeah, no, that's been there a while. I read your report, and I think it's an excellent.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I think you need to do that for the town meeting next year too.
100-day report is as it says in there, it's pretty traditional for chiefs across the entire nation, paid departments, volunteer departments. Your first 100 days of employment, when you've never been a fire chief before, it's important to report back to the select board.
I've never heard of that.
Well, anyways, before I even get into it, if we were going to, I'm glad you guys read it. That's really what the most important thing is. I do have a little bit more of an important matter to address. So I think kind of both of them go hand in hand. This thing would probably take me, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to go through. So to me, this is kind of good news. The stuff that we got to talk about isn't necessarily bad news, but it's urgent. So I think we kind of need to handle it. It popped up after I spoke with Robin about getting this on the agenda. So I'll just address that first so we can leave on a good note. The ISO project that has occurred. Are you, any of you aware of what has happened with the ISO since Bruce was chief and up until this point? I know you kind of.
Well, I know what he was doing, but I don't know what's happened since you've taken over.
Okay, would you mind being able to fill me in on what you know? Because I definitely have some updates, but what did Bruce then leave you off with?
He was going through a series of initiatives, including things like improving
Infrastructure, stuff like that.
the infrastructure, dry stands or, stations, and equipment and training and whatnot, that all count toward your ISO rating.
Absolutely, definitely.
And, well, that's pretty much it. That's what, the emphasis was.
Okay. So since I took over as chief, even when I was, I don't know, just a firefighter, I was pretty aware of this ISO essentially audit that's going on. In May of 2022, we hadn't been audited by the ISO since 2011. Typically, your ISO certification lasts for 5 years, and they can audit you anytime. I mean, they can audit you within it, but typically they don't. They're not much of an enforcement agency. What the ISO's job is, for anybody who's not familiar, is to create, they're the insurance service organization. They create a score based on your town's infrastructure that all the insurance companies who homeowners are going to apply for homeowners insurance look towards to kind of say, okay, how do we properly risk assess each house in this town based on what a lot of it has to do with fire department infrastructure. So hence us needing to look at these items like the 3 most important items that the ISO really look at are your water sources in town, how many firefighters you have and how well they are trained, and it's a little bit more, the third one's a little bit more minor than the first 2, but it's your apparatus, what kind of fire trucks you have and what equipment are available to help fire suppression in order, again, to better risk assess houses for insurance purposes. So we got audited in May of 2022. I've done a lot of diligent work to kind of figure out what has been done, and there has been a plan created in a year. They've created a plan with about maybe 14, 15 items on it.
Who's they?
They would be Bruce Crawford and whoever else is assisting him in this matter. So it's up to the fire department to handle this. This is no doubt my bear. But the reason I'm bringing it to you guys, before you guys, is because I need your help. And I'll get to that part once I explain to you why I need your help. Water sources are an issue in this town as to how they are organized. The ISO has given 0 credit for any of the water sources, and they're about 50% of your ISO score. And we have 0 credit for all of the dry hydrants and all of the water sources in this town. And that's an issue because we have a lot of them, and we spend money to maintain them and install them. What we need, and what I need your help with, is developing, I have a land use agreement for fire hydrants on people's property. Basically, what we need to do is get the landowners that have a dry hydrant on their property to sign these documents and give them to the town so that we can submit them to the ISO so that the townspeople don't get dropped from their insurance. Now, along with that includes firefighters and firefighter training and the apparatus that we have in our possession, meaning our fire trucks, just so I'm not totally speaking technical jargon. Since I've joined, right before I was elected chief by the department and appointed by the selectmen, Bruce had sent me to be nationally certified and licensed in training firefighters and EMS personnel. I've completed that certification. I'm a nationally certified trainer now. And I I've brought a lot of monthly training to this department. I've put it online, I've invested money so that we have training online for firefighters who can't always show up, can still maintain their certifications. Now, for the ISO, that's a 35% of your score, and I've done a lot of work on it. We submitted training, in the beginning of this, and it requires 24 hours of structural firefighter training. There's some specifics to that. We had 23, so therefore we got 0 credit. Our ISO score historically in 2011 was an 8B out of 10. The higher the number your score is, the worse you are. So an 8B isn't that great, but let's be honest, we're Baldwin, we're a small volunteer fire company, and 8B is fairly reasonable, I believe, at least for what we have in town in terms of infrastructure, what we have as a fire department, what we have for staffing as firefighters. An 8B is a decent certification. As of right now, our date to submit was in early June. I had it extended to August, being that I was a new fire chief and needed to orient myself with this project, and I've only had since April to create these remediations. It's not a very long period of time. So what I have done is I've gotten us in that short amount of time to about 16 hours per firefighter of training. I'm supposed to submit on August 10th, or 14th actually, excuse me. I had a conversation with the ISO today in order to better figure out how to organize documentation the way that they like it. ISO has a very specific way. The training program that I've purchased and implemented in the fire department automatically organizes our training hours the way that the ISO likes to see it. And it's a huge selling point on why I started using this training program. In sense of training, we're looking very good. In sense of staffing and the amount of certified firefighters that we have on staff, we do not look good. Now, with changing regulations on the national and state level of firefighters, the ISO has to change with them, and that's a big portion of it. 2011, we didn't have the same regulations in the fire service that we have in 2023. It's been 11 years. Again, with that, I'm working on getting our training up to date because that's at least 35% of our score that we historically have failed at. When it comes to water sources, I can't make lease agreements happen in a month with over 10 hydrants and 2 drafting water sources, because 2 of our largest water sources in town are Sand Pond and Marston Pond. Now, Sand Pond and Marston Pond don't have dry hydrants, they are drafting water sources. We take a fire truck, we take a big old hose, and we throw it in the middle of the lake and suck the water out of it. Those fall under a different classification with the ISO, and they need and require a lot more data. They require a 50-year drought study per water source. They require us to be able to have access to it year-round, which here in Maine, we know we don't because it ices over. And there's right-of-way issues with it also, but believe it or not, both Marston and Sand Pond, I mean, we own the access to Sand Pond, so that's a wonderful thing in the town. And Marston Road, they've been nothing but, I mean, Gary, at least their representative over at the campground, has been nothing but amicable and always worked with the fire department. We've got a good relationship, I like to believe. So the 50-year study would be a problem. So Cindy from the ISO is our specific representative. She said there's no possible way you're getting this done. So you got 2 options. The first option is we submit with no data, or the data that we have, which is basically nothing, and we will drop down to a 9 ISO score. Once you hit 10 ISO score, your town is not considered able to provide fire protection services. Not via MMA, MMA will be fine, the state will be fine, but in terms of the townspeople's homeowners insurance, especially any new builds, which we have plenty of, this can significantly affect their ability to get homeowners insurance and then the price and premiums of that homeowners insurance. The one thing I was able to convince her of is that we've had a substantial change in our training environment in the fire department, and I got her to allow me another extension to October 1st to provide her 24 hours of interior structure fire training. I will be able to accomplish that. I'm going to have to work pretty hard, but I'm going to accomplish it. And you guys can hear that from me pretty loud and clear. All that is going to do is put this off further. And what that will do is maintain our 8B for a couple of months until we can sort of manage to get this water source issue under control. That's where I need your help. I need your help getting the people who own these fire hydrants on their lands to agree to sign these documents that allow the firefighters and fire department to use their fire hydrants. And I also need your help to get data from places like Sand Pond and the 50-year drought study. I'm gonna guess the DEP or Inland Fisheries and Wildlife or one of the state agencies has that data. And I will work on that portion of it myself, but again, I'm gonna need a little bit of your support, especially with each individual landowner. And a perfect example is Woods Mill, the Woods and Woods family. They have one of our third largest water source in Baldwin. They have a dry hydrant there. They've always been good to the fire department. They let us install it. And we can draft from there as well, but it's much easier to classify a dry hydrant than it is to do what I just described as a drafting source of water, like Marston Pond or Sand Pond. So we need to rely on these dry hydrants to increase our score. It's really too bad Robin's not here, because me and her had this discussion earlier, because I said maybe we should change the agenda instead of a 100-day report. I think we need to address this. Her experience with her husband's rental units is and even her mother-in-law's, people have been getting dropped from homeowners insurance in the area as a result of the surrounding town scores. Hiram is a 10. They have no legitimate fire protection service because they tried to do this ISO project and they failed at it because of lack of investment, lack of certified firefighters, and they are now at a 10. And there are obviously, some people are experiencing issues, some are not. It's really hard to tell because the ISO can't tell me what each individual insurance company is going to react to their score. And that's really the issue, is we don't know how Liberty Mutual or Geico or whoever is going to look at this ISO score is going to react to it. Some might not care. When I bought my house and got homeowners insurance on it 5 years ago, they basically asked how far I was from a fire station. I'm 4.8 miles, and they said, you're 0.2 miles within being able to get homeowners insurance, so we'll give it to you. And so that's all Liberty Mutual, in my case, cared about. So I found myself kind of fortunate, but I'm concerned because this directly affects the townspeople. So we need land use agreements for hydrants badly. And I am offering any new firefighters paid training. I will pay them for their training, just like Bruce paid for my training via the fire department, in order to get us at a better status in the ISO for what certified firefighters are showing up to calls and how much interior structure fire training they're doing.
Right.
Apparatus, I'm developing a CIP for the truck, just kind of like we were talking about at our town meeting, constantly just putting in money towards buying a new truck. And engine 1 is listed as an engine, and it's not good. We are currently exchanging engine 5 for engine 1, which is a much more updated truck, and I feel will impact positively on our ISO score once we do have an inspection. So I'm doing everything that I can from my perspective, but again, I just need help. And I don't know how you can help me, but I need help with getting these land use agreements.
Well, I think you could start by giving us a list of where these dry hydrants are.
I have them all.
Yeah.
Yep, I have them all.
And
we can send them
we can approach them and,
yeah.
That would be good.
I don't think you have a problem with that. I mean, that's why they're there, right? Somebody
Well,
agreed to it at one point.
Right, the handshake is always worked.
documenting it.
Right.
Yes, the handshake has always worked. I can give you 2 examples of source spots, though. Vinnie Lawrence is one of them, and I've tried to smooth that over, and I think I've accomplished that so far. So we need to get him to sign a land use agreement still. And the other one would be Dean Woods in Woods Mill. Now, the reason I say that there's a sore spot there is because Chief Crawford let him illegally burn a house that we had discussed was not a DEP nightmare. And it was in the process of changing command when I became the chief, and I can't allow somebody to illegally burn a house and us incur a $50,000 fine.
Yeah.
So obviously Dean thinks that I was working against him in that matter. I haven't approached him about this matter yet, but I can't see, if you have a dry hydrant, I can't see why you wouldn't want the fire department to use it. So I agree with you, Bob.
I think if we send them a letter explaining why.
Why?
I think that, hey, this might affect your homeowners, homeowners insurance greatly, so
Yes.
I think they may be.
Right, and it affects everybody who lives in town, me, you,
Right,
it's
yeah.
just the reality of the situation. The reason I bring it to you instead of this 100-day report right this moment is just because I have until October 1st to provide training records. She's only gonna give me a couple months after that to provide these hydrant records. I have all the data on the hydrants that's necessary for the ISO, so that's not the issue, but the agreements are important. I have to also say that this agreement that we recently produced a letter to the West Baldwin Fire Association to lease their building is also very important for the ISO, because they do not consider it a fire station. It's a separate fire company as of right now, since the town doesn't have use of it, an illegal document. That I did not know until speaking with them today. So, some stuff that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, Don.
What would it cost to put a dry hydrant in the sand pond?
Well, I think Quaker Brook cost us, I don't know,
$10,000.
no, couldn't have been that much.
$8 to $10,000.
Maybe, all right, well, we'll talk to Estes, but yeah, there you have it.
Yeah.
If you send me a letter asking for me to surrender land rights to the town in order to have a dry hydrant in my pond, I might throw it in the, you know, on the shelf and say, yeah, right.
Exactly.
But if you showed up, Jim, and you said, could you do this for me?
Mhm.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Thank you, Joe.
I
It's a lease agreement, just so you're aware, all it does is allow us to have access and to draw water from
Us
it.
crotchety old landowners don't care what you call it.
That's true, and I appreciate your perspective, seriously, it's extremely helpful. That's why I need the support of not the select board, even just the select board, but the townspeople in general. That's why I believe you guys need to hear this. So,
Is there a sample of what these agreements look like?
I have one. I have a template that satisfies the previous agreement. So there was a template that was previously created in the last fire administration, but it failed to have a maintenance clause that was required by the ISO, because I sent that template over to have it checked, so that we don't submit anything that then they turn back and say, this is wrong. What we had was not sufficient. So I have since gotten something, I've submitted it, I'm waiting to hear back if it's sufficient, but it has a clause missing.
We will help you.
Thank you. Now, do you want the news for 100 Day Report? I promise I'll be expeditious about it. So, as I was saying, it's a nationwide tradition, for newly appointed fire chiefs to provide a report on what's taken place in their first 100 days of appointment. As the fire chief of Baldwin Fire Department, I find it important to highlight and discuss the accomplishments and challenges of the department that I've experienced in my first 100 days. On my day of appointment, we had a current active roster of 13 firefighters, and as of today, we are at an active roster of 17. The increase in membership includes previous active members who have returned to duty, as well as 2 new members. It has been a plan of mine and the department to visit the local high schools to encourage a junior firefighter program to ensure the future of the Baldwin Fire Department, because nobody's getting any younger. Some of the challenges that I've seen walking into the door as the chief here are, we have out of regulation and failing personal protective equipment for firefighters. Since then, we have purchased 3 new sets of gear for new active members. We have significantly outdated vehicle extrication equipment in West Baldwin, and as you guys have recently seen at our town meeting, we purchased a brand new extrication tool in order to update that. We have a fire truck that's currently at a modification shop getting fitted for new extrication tools. So we're doing things to take care of this stuff. Outdated fire apparatus is, we're working together to create some form of CIP and make sure that we're buying new trucks. We're slated to buy a new truck in 27, 28, as long as we stay on track with our CIP. Inadequate and out-of-compliance fire suppression equipment. So continued research and purchase of modern fire suppression equipment, attack nozzles, battery-operated mechanical vent fan. I've purchased brand new, what they call combination nozzles for the department, helps better fire suppression techniques. We have also purchased a mechanical vent fan that will help ventilate structures, whether it be a gas call or an interior fire. We had an absence of a documented training program required by Bureau of Labor Standards and the National Fire Protection Agency. So I've also just discussed, implemented a monthly training program that's documented online. We had 1 captain and 1 chief prior to me being chief, Howard Burnell and Chief Bruce Crawford. So now we have Deputy Chief Chris Harrington, Captain Steve Thorne, Captain Howard Burnell is still a captain, we have Captain Kyle Estes. So we have a full set of officers, properly structured fire department. Our lack of municipal recognition is still in the works, but we have drafted a new ordinance to create a job descriptions, and we're trying to adopt that ordinance hopefully soon at a town meeting. so that we can be recognized as a state municipality. Will create some challenges for us, no doubt, because we'll be under a little bit more scrutiny from certain state agencies, but at the same time, it opens the doors to lots of things like granting and a lot of other really great things. And we also have an issue and a challenge with payroll and personnel tracking. How long people are on calls, how much are they actually getting paid, where they are, when did his engine leave the station, when did it come back into the station, where did it go on a call, did it go on another call while it was out. So I am diligently researching a payroll system. We cannot afford any of them so far. But I'm working on it. We cannot afford any of them, but we are working on it. The great news is some of the impactful accomplishments I've overseen in the last 100 days are restructuring relationships with mutual aid departments. I've met with Hiram, I've met with Cornish, I've met with Standish, I've met with Tobago. They are still currently all handshakes. We're working on actually getting signed mutual aid documents, just like, I mean, we have one with Standish, but from the other handshake departments, is what I call them. We have really great relationships, and actually we've been trading with Tobago on a monthly basis. Tobago will be here next Tuesday to trade with us again. Traded with them last month, and we will again. Online training has been great. We've updated our digital dispatching program so that we're up to date with Cumberland County. We're looking at getting a TV into Station 1 so that when we show up to a call, we can see where it's located, so people are focusing more on driving safely instead of, where is this fire call? It's pretty important. Fire accidents are a very, very, very serious thing. What it also does is it allows for better geolocating of incidents. If we were to build a Frisbee golf course, we're going to talk. I worry about people on trails in the wintertime breaking their knee and not being able to get out. We have no way to get into them besides calling Standish for their side-by-side to be able to rescue them. So it's a very real concern. We've done, I think, 2 ice rescues last year in Baldwin. One of them wasn't much of a rescue. It was handling a drunk person, but the other one was pretty legitimate. And so these are, you know, these programs that we have now don't necessarily just give you an address, they give you GPS coordinates to where this incident is. So if it's in the middle of the lake, you know it's in the middle of the lake. If it's out in the middle of the trails, you know it's out in the middle of the trails, not just on the roadway that coincides with that location, and then a search process as a result. So it's shortened our response times. We've created new documents, such as truck checks and appliance emergency incidents. The emergency incident appliance documents are really important. We have a chimney fire. The owner of that building signs off that we've checked the chimney. It needs to be out of service. You can't be using it until a professional has come and said you're good to use it again. And what that does is it puts a very nice layer of liability protection on the town. Because after we leave, if we don't have a signed document, they light their stove again and burn their house down, we're pretty liable for it, whether that's an electrical outlet or anything like that. And on a little bit, I guess, of a smaller scale, we've updated our department logo to honor the year that the department was founded, which is 1948, a year after the Great Fires here in this area. It's increased morale. It's been put on some uniforms and some clothing, and I think that's a small reason why we're seeing a little bit of an increase in membership, resurgence in membership in the fire department. I talked to you about this with the ISO. I encourage, you know, new firefighters, anybody who wants to get certified, I don't care your age, I will invest in them. I want people to be certified. We want to have good fire suppression techniques. We don't want to give this fire department to Standish. It's not that I don't like Standish. I think they're great firefighters and great people. But in terms of distance and in terms of the ability to protect an institution that was created 75 years ago, we can maintain this. So it's just that we need to train. That's that will help us kind of keep it together. So lastly, one of the good things is me and the chief of Hiram both became licensed instructors this last year, nationally certified. We're creating a BLS program for free for firefighters in the area who want to become interior certified. We've created a curriculum that's been approved by the Maine State Fire Institute, MFSI, and we'll be able to certify firefighters as BLS certified firefighters, which is the state minimum, but still good with the ISO, still good with the state. And we'll be providing that for free. It will be a 1-day-a-week course so that it doesn't create the same burden that the National Fire Academy does.
Who's chief and Hiram?
Ethan Norcross. Yeah, he's a fairly new chief. They adopted an ordinance and created a municipal department recently.
Yeah.
And now he's, there's no South Hiram, East Hiram anymore, it's just Hiram SD. And, he's the chief of it. He was my academy mate, actually, so he's a good guy. But more importantly, lastly, I do personally want to thank the select board, fire department in general, and the townspeople for the opportunity to serve the community in this capacity. I'm deeply impassioned with developing emergency service for our rural community as well as our mutual aid districts. I promise to continue to show up, to perform with tact and patience, to preserve what our community has developed 75 years ago, a wonderful and functional town fire department. So I appreciate your guys' help and support. Thank you. State of the Union for the fire department.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is great. I mean,
Thank you.
if you have something like this at town meeting, I think getting funding would be a lot easier for you.
I'm all about it.
I mean, it's,
Annual report.
I think it's good that the townspeople see what you're doing, how it can improve.
They pay for it all.
Yeah, right. It's like an investment, you know, or, I know you go to big corporations and you grab the money, and they won't give it to you unless you say, if I do this, it can help you here.
Yep.
You know, so I think
Thanks, Jimmy, I appreciate it. Yeah, I plan to have an annual report for the next town meeting so that the people can be more involved in the fire department. We're working on creating an association too, so that the townspeople can be more involved directly with the fire department, kind of how it used to be some years ago.
yeah, I mean,
We missed the turkey shoot, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We do talk about it all the time at fire department meetings, we missed the turkey shoot. I think Stevie said some families used to rely on it for Thanksgiving dinners. No reason we shouldn't be doing it.
I think the continued education is really good, because,
So
you know, the old mindset of Baldwin is like, you know, there's generating fires, the old timers always did it okay, but they don't understand
right.
Yep,
how the state mandates have changed and.
it's regulations, it's not that I want it to be this way.
Yeah,
You're right, Dale.
I could tell
I mean, I
you.
really never paid a whole lot of attention, and, you know, you've educated me
Yeah.
Glad
a
you're ready.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything you guys need, that's what we're here for, you know, we're supposed to be a community service.
I've heard a lot of comments about, you know, you're just driving around nice shiny new vehicles. Well, this is why we're driving, you know, you have, I mean, you have to, really.
Some people, Jimmy, I think you've been across the town line too long.
You're right. We used to have.
I'll give you that.
Homemade.
That's the classic fire department story. The nice building, everybody's sitting inside watching TV all day until the fire alarm goes off. That is so not how Baldwin Fire Department operates.
Right,
These
yeah.
guys, not outside of their jobs, volunteer their time for free. The only time we ever get a monthly hourly pay is on a call.
Right.
And there's a lot of times that we were working for this fire department that's not on a call, and that's why we do it. We do it because we love it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, much appreciated.
All right, Sam Pond Beach incident. We had an incident last, Chad or Steve was both there.
Yeah.
So somebody was launching a kayak, what started it was launching a kayak from the beach. And you went up and spoke to this young lady, and her mother didn't like it.
She didn't like it well.
And now we got a complaint that you screamed and yelled at her.
No.
Okay.
She was, another thing is, she was telling me I was trying to harass her and everything.
Right.
And I'm not harassing. I'm there to do what I am supposed to do and everything. And she kinda a little upset about it and everything. I've spoke to her twice this year about stickers. She didn't like that too well. And I've also, another person involved, he should have told me that he should have had a sticker, but he never told me that she had a sticker. And if he had told me that she had a sticker the first time I spoke to her, we wouldn't have had to go through this the second time.
Now, Robin was saying last year, she complained, you asked her about a sticker, but it was on another vehicle.
Yep.
The vehicle that she hadn't shown up to the beach with, well, they have to be on that vehicle that they come to the beach with.
She didn't get, you know, that was that problem too.
Yeah.
And I told her, if you're gonna come, every time you come in with a different vehicle, you gotta have a sticker.
Right,
I told her.
yeah.
And they come in with a side-by-side without no sticker.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't like that too well, and I told her.
You think just because you bought one sticker, it's good for,
Well, every time you go different vehicle, get a sticker.
right. This is the same person that 3 years ago, we closed the beach because of COVID. I put up no trespassing signs and put up the yellow ribbon, and she walked right through it. She chose to ignore the no trespassing sign and walked through the ribbon, and I had to go down and kick her off. She didn't give me a hard time, but she did. So. And eventually, the Cumberland County was called, right?
Yep.
He got a different story from her, so he couldn't really.
So I think what she was doing, trying to change the story around.
Yeah, to make herself look like a.
And somebody else is trying to stick up for her, back her up and everything.
Yeah. So they pretty much told you that everybody needs to get along, right, as I was told.
I wasn't, you know, as I said, I wasn't doing nothing wrong enough. I did what I had to do.
Doing your job. And I know, Steve, I talked to you that same day, and you vouched for him, that, yeah,
There was nothing absolutely out of line.
right,
He was well within his rights as being a parking attendant at
Yeah.
a beach.
that's all we need to know.
The boat launch. We ought to have that straightened out here. You got one side low and the other side high. And when the boats come in, they kinda hug the tree and everything, so they don't drop that trailer down.
So they may drag on one side and,
Yeah, one side's lower than the other.
yeah.
So I think something ought to be done to that.
I don't know if Kenya, I don't know if DEP will allow it, I don't know.
Well, it's a concrete ramp, an old concrete ramp.
Well, part of it is, and the other side's dirt.
Dirt, yeah, it kinda
Yeah.
broke away and over time.
So, the feeling.
Yeah, I don't know.
It get kind of washed out.
Yeah.
Had somebody cut their feet on the rebar there a number of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know.
We have to look into that and see what we are allowed to do. Anything else?
No? Not right now.
You got anything else to add, Steve?
Might have a different. Now, just from my personal knowledge, let's just say I got a sticker. I couldn't, that sticker's no good if I wanna bring my wife truck down there.
She'd have to have a sticker.
So it cost me $20?
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, me and my wife, we get separate stickers.
Okay, yeah,
As long as you gotta have it on the vehicle that you show up at the beach.
okay.
And the sticker got to match the plate.
Yeah.
Right.
Even like a dump sticker, they'll give us 2 stickers, it's just got the same number on it, you see what I'm saying, so,
I think there's separate numbers.
that's how it used to be.
Right, yeah, right,
The dump stickers still have your plate number on them.
Yeah.
They own your vehicle,
right.
so it matches the plate that's
Okay,
registered.
but you're allowed 2 through the town, I
Right.
believe. Okay. I just need to understand it,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
no pros, no cons, or nothing.
And I've also had out of state come in, New Hampshire, Vermont. They wanna go swimming, you got a sticker? No. Out the door you go.
Town resident, yeah, they have to be town resident.
And I've also had people come in they wanna go swimming, like on the weekend, they don't have tickets, out the door they go.
That's what you're there for.
Yeah. I don't think you're abusing anybody or picking on anybody, you do the same thing for everybody, you know.
So it's the fire department.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
That sounds like a dangerous job.
Well,
Some people can be really unruly.
Oh, I'm sure.
oh, yeah.
There's one group down there that every year, have they showed up yet?
I ain't seen them the last couple of years,
Oh, good, maybe they moved out.
ain't seen them.
Alrighty. Reminders, we have a planning board meeting this Thursday night at 7 p.m. The code enforcement office is open at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Let's see. So, yeah, for now. Joe, you got anything?
Nope.
All set. Kathy?
My elevator drainage problem is back.
Oh, wait,
It's still,
Probably all from all that rain we've been getting.
well, the drain still is clogged at the street level, which means it's clogged further down, and so nothing can come out of the building.
Oh.
You just bump you out,
Yeah,
you can do it.
or fix the drain.
Oh,
I think
you
the
fix
drain
drain.
is tilted in.
We pump water.
Yeah, well, I know. But the drain has, water in it with a little oil slick, so I know something's banged out, but not all the way.
I think Kyle Estes and Steve Estes actually have the plans to that building and that drain. I remember talking to Captain Estes about it when we were there to pump it out last time, so he might be a good resource for you,
Okay,
just so you know.
okay,
I'd be happy to pump it if you need me to.
that'd be great, thank you.
You go.
Other than that, no.
Don, you got anything else?
Nope, I'm all set, thank you.
Dad, you all set?
I think I'm all set.
You all set, Steve?
Heard enough from me.
Chris, you got anything? Still working on roads?
I'm still working on roads. So, I don't know if you guys have read your email, but I talked to Jimmy and Bob earlier about it, I don't know if you saw the email or not.
It is.
I can show you the picture of the ditched road, and there's nothing in the roadway for the first complaint, about Senator Black Road and his bamboo. So I don't know quite what he's talking about. But there's that one, and then as far as Brown Road complaint, so we're been up there today actually, and we've been replacing, working on ditching and fixing ditches, but we replaced the culvert up further just below Senator Black today. We upsized it. The bottom of it was completely rotted out. Every time you drove a truck over it, you'd watch the whole road go like this. So we've got that one replaced. We're gonna take and work our way. We've got one above it that I have to replace, and then two below it, as well, that need to be replaced. Again, bottoms are pretty well gone, not sufficient, and then the rainstorms are just too much for them now. So we're gonna upsize those and replace those. Yeah, we had a little bit of debacle up there over the weekend with a couple of the neighbors doing road work on their own and hitting fences and running drains out into the woods. Cops were called. Neighborhood dispute. I've talked to, I think, everyone at this point except for one neighbor that doesn't seem to want to talk to me. He drives by every day, but won't stop and talk. So that was quite the interesting weekend of phone calls that I took all weekend. And then other than that, we're just gonna try to keep plugging away and getting ditches fixed and reopened up and reset culverts and keep installing pipe. And hopefully we can make everyone happy, which is impossible at this point, so we're just gonna keep plugging away.
What about that, house on Fremont Ave, that's got his stuff pumping into can you do anything about that?
Not really.
You're going into the road and.
I know, I don't know what
do. Cause, I mean, it's not like there's a hole there that we could send it into.
Can you make them move it, so it's not going into the road?
I think it's going to end up in the road. Yeah, I don't
If you look at it, I'm pretty sure the house, it looks level, but I think the way that it is, it's
I think everything tapers right.
a little
Take
higher.
papers to the road,
Yeah.
so eventually it will go down.
Yeah, I think eventually.
Maybe
For a while there, he was running it off to the right side of the house, and I still think it came into the road eventually, but. I feel bad for him a little bit.
Pipe. He had the 4-inch pipe hook up.
Really? Yeah.
And then when we were getting the water in, he had 2 sump pumps going in that house. So
Really?
if it was me, I'd fill that thing right full of stone and call it a day. Jack in the house.
There's some places on Sand Pond too, that on the right, they constantly pump up, you know. We do have one on the left, and that's why we built it up like that, to keep it high and dry. We're not running, we got a sump pump there, but it never gets water in it.
Kind of blows my mind that people realize now that they have a water issue when they build in a low spot.
They had to pump
The
it, they put
one
the
on-
foundation.
For instance, there's the one on Brown Road.
Yeah,
There's 2 culverts, like, within 20 feet of each other that run right in towards that house.
yeah,
And he's in a low,
yeah.
and it blows my mind that he is
You think
not
it's jump rope.
realizing that there's a water issue there.
Oh, it is past road.
And nobody told him that the water runs there.
Yeah.
Wants me to go out through the woods and ditch across Joe's land.
You all right with that?
Oh, no problem.
Oh, the other thing that he told me is that I can call the state and get culverts. They'll just drop them off.
Oh, yeah.
I asked for it another time. I know, I said, tell me where to call.
Yeah, really. Get all kinds of them. Might never be one of them.
You know, they'll just drop them off for you. All you have to do is make that phone call. And I said, well, give me the number and I'll make the phone call.
Right.
I haven't met a town yet that can pull that off. So there's, and education is wonderful, but
Get a public education.
some of you, tell one thing and doesn't, you don't know anything.
Right, right, yeah.
So I just let it go. But, yeah, we'll keep setting culverts and keep fixing ditches. We get some holes we gotta take care of, and I'm gonna try to go up and get a few roads, smaller roads graded tomorrow, and then we'll work on ditches again and culverts again.
Yeah.
Kinda sorry to hear that, because I would really like one of you guys to go pick up that motor generator set. That's what's needed for
No,
to start the project.
Okay,
Out of North Walden?
No, it's,
I think I have the guy's number, right?
if not, I've got
Okay.
power.
Have you talked to him recently?
No.
Okay.
We sent an email saying it's cleared out and ready, you can come get it now.
Okay.
It was in the back lot.
Yeah, okay.
Either in
I'll,
the
yeah. The one time that we have.
Yeah.
That's the other thing,
It's on a skid, right, and you have to somehow skid it into the back of the truck.
couldn't tell you. He said he has a forklift.
Yeah. Oh, he does, okay.
You have both of
Yes, supposedly. I don't know how big this thing is, but, I can see about reaching out to him again and see about setting up a date, either this week or next week. The blue 550 is down in New England Diesel. The other day, we were working on body lights and whatnot, and, well, the NOx sensor was bad a couple weeks ago. It threw a code. I talked to the local diesel mechanic that I know.
Oh, really? You are?
Diesel there for 7 years.
Hey.
So, and he said, he said this to me, you don't wanna do it yourself. And I said, okay. It's a bear, I guess. So, we took it down there, but at the same time, we lost, so it was scheduled to go down there, and in the meantime, we also lost the transmission control module in it. So every time you put it in gear, it goes, boom! Didn't really sound that great.
So I went down there, it's currently down there being worked on, and he said the same thing, it was the knock sensor and the transmission control module, which we already knew, and he's gonna be getting that fixed. And he said there's also, every once in a while, there's a noise in the transfer case, which I haven't heard, but I don't know if drive the truck, so I'll have to pay attention to that, see what we can figure out about that, but I think that's it.
New England Diesel is excellent mechanics.
Where are they located?
Wyndham.
Oh, Wyndham,
Right on the road.
they're excellent, okay.
It's Donnie Holden.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Young Donnie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, yeah.
I'm good.
Tom, I think we got something for you in a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Steve, you got anything else? No?
No.
All right. Well, let's go to executive session before we.
I have, one other thing is
All
that,
right, I forgot you that.
yeah, Robin says Matt Fricker's, appointment is.
Oh, yeah, that's right, too, yeah.
And, I guess I would move that we reappoint him.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Then we can ask him if he really wants it.
You got anything, Dan?
No, good.
Alrighty then. The select board going into executive session pursuant of one MSRA, section 405, 6A, discuss personnel matter.
Seconded.
All in favor?